I met Steven Spielberg. He was about halfway through filming Close Encounters, and we had a long discussion about what UFOs could be. And of course, for him, the main point of the movie was entertainment, and it was appropriate for the UFOs to be extraterrestrial visitors. I think that from my own point of view, I'm going to be very disappointed if UFOs turn out to be nothing more than visitors from another planet, because I think there could be something much more interesting.
We must wonder, too, where UFOs are hiding when not manifesting themselves to human eyes.
The conclusion I've come to after all these years is that, first of all, the subject is much more complex than any of us imagined. It has paranormal aspects, but certainly it has very real physical aspects too. If we are finally forced by the evidence itself to go into the paranormal, then we will. I'm very much afraid that UFOs are related to certain psychic phenomena.
Well, I have been investigating the UFO phenomenon since around 1961. I have even been a member of UFO organizations such as NICAP and APRO, and I have interviewed hundreds of people who claim to have had amazing sightings, including those who claim to have been abducted. This phenomenon doesn't seem to appear from outer space, but rather they appear suddenly and they disappear or dematerialize, and gives us the impression that they are taking off as if using some kind of a propulsion system. And I don't think they are flying. They just disappear or dematerialize.
UFO experiences often have a profound effect on individuals. Hynek noted.
There has been a change of outlook, a change of philosophy of persons' lives. Many people, like Jacques Vallée and I, to some extent, feel that it might be a conditioning process.
Dr. John Mack was a Pulitzer Prize-winning psychiatrist and author. Initially a skeptic about the alien abduction phenomenon, he ultimately became convinced that people were having experiences with something otherworldly.
When I heard of it, hundreds of thousands of people all over the country, from various polls, we know maybe even millions of people have had very similar experiences. They don't know each other. The details that they're describing were not in the media. They have nothing to gain by it. They feel ashamed about it. That's number one. When I also heard that this was occurring in children as young as 2 or 3 years old, that ruled out personality explanations. It's associated with UFOs independently observed by witnesses, by media, by neighbors. It's also associated with physical findings, and, as said before, the people, when examined, are not psychiatrically disturbed. So the only thing that behaves like that is real experience.
Yeah, you say that it's trauma, that it's trauma.
It's traumatic.
Not, yeah.
Real experiences are the only thing that occurs like that. Psychosis isn't like that. Madness is not like that. Dreams are not like that. Fantasy is not like that. Now, if these are real experiences, what is going on?
Now, there are all kinds of wonderful stories to illustrate this sort of control that they can have over our perceptions. I was working with a woman once who was recalling an experience. She's on the table inside a ship. There's a physical examination taking place. It's extremely painful, demeaning, and so forth. And she is not only enraged and furious, but she's scared to death, and she's undergoing pain. And the head alien, as we know from these accounts, often happens, walks over, puts his hand across her forehead, and she said the pain disappeared. She felt waves of the most profound love she has ever felt in her life. She said she would sacrifice her own children for the love that she felt for this being. It was just beyond anything she'd ever known. No pain, no anger, and total love. Now, that kind of manipulation is, of course, something that's part and parcel with the alien means of operating.
I think the stage is set for the appearance of new faiths, centered on the UFO belief, and an idea of the possibility of contact with the cosmic. There are thousands from whom the belief in otherworldly contact is based on intimate conviction, drawn from what they regard as personal contact with UFOs and their occupants.
You wouldn't think that little beings with big black eyes who, when you first look at it, are doing nasty, traumatic, rape-like reproductive experimenting, we don't know it's experimenting, would be the source of mystical openings, as you're suggesting. But in fact, they are psychospiritual opening. It may be that some kind of more intrusive, invasive hit is required, abductions, if you will, to open us up. I mean, that's one of the, it's an intervention in a sense. It's the crossing over of some beings that should stay in the spirit world, coming over into the physical world.
Psychologist and UFO skeptic Professor Richard McNally from Harvard University noted,
if you genuinely believe you've been traumatized and recall these memories, you'll show the same psychophysiologic emotional reactions as people who really have been traumatized. Abductees also believe in their experiences so deeply that they display real stress symptoms similar to those of traumatized battlefield veterans.
The UFOs do not seem to exist as tangible, manufactured objects. They do not conform to the natural laws of our environment. The thousands of contacts with the entities indicate they are liars and put-on artists. The UFO manifestations seem to be, by and large, merely minor variations of the age-old demonological phenomenon.
I went and I lay down, and it was almost instantly I became paralyzed. I could not move. I could not see anything but gray. And all of a sudden it felt like that something or someone had put some pole right up my rectum and was holding me on that pole. And the entity, or whatever it was that was doing this to me, was laughing like it was pleasurable, or they were laughing at me, and I was so afraid. I didn't know what to do. And I can't remember whether I said, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus," or "Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me." But at that instant, my experience stopped. And I distinctly heard these entities squeal in pain. And I hit the bed. I was literally thrown into the bed.
The Florida Today newspaper picked up Bill's story that he had stopped his encounter by using the name of Jesus. It got syndicated nationally and triggered a flood of people sharing their experiences with us, that they had halted their experiences in the same way. So I contacted my colleagues in MUFON and other ufologists around the world, and we discovered that many of them knew about this already, but they ignored it.
We can be absolutely sure, after many years of investigation into this phenomenon, that these alleged aliens coming to us from distant star systems are nothing of the sort. Rather, they are deceptive supernatural entities emanating from another dimension.
Gary, have you found that there are some types of people who are more prone to these experiences than others?
Yes, and actually I agree with the secular researchers on this, like John Keel and John Mack, Richard McAnally. They discovered there seemed to be an entry point. And, you know, it didn't even have to be a deep involvement in the occult, just an open door. You know, people mess around with the Ouija boards and tarot cards and think it's a lot of fun. Or the more serious ones that dabble in the spirit realm. In my book, I cited some cases where just even a belief in something as seemingly benign as kind of believing that aliens could travel vast distances and visit the Earth could potentially leave one open to deception. And, you know, then, of course, when one has the experience, it just reaffirms what they already believe. Well, as John Keel discovered, it's just the same old spiritual battle dressed up in a new, believable theme. And so people won't recognize the deception for what it is. And why? I mean, why go to all that trouble? Well, you've got to think about what's at stake, right? If the Bible is true, if the Bible's correct, then what's at stake are the very souls of human beings.
UFOs can project images or fabricated scenes designed to change our belief systems. Human belief is being controlled and conditioned. Man's concepts are being rearranged, and we may be headed toward a massive change of human attitudes towards paranormal abilities and extraterrestrial life.
Many experiencers also recall being given messages of a religious nature. They are told that they have been specially chosen and that conventional religions are wrong, and that they must enlighten others.
Even the Apostle Paul in Galatians wrote that if we or an angel from heaven should preach a gospel other than the one we preach to you, let him be eternally condemned. Two of the world's largest religions actually started this way. Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, claimed he was given extra biblical revelation by an angel. And Muhammad, the founder of Islam, meditated in a cave for several months and was visited in the same way.
How credible is it to think that literally thousands of extraterrestrials would fly millions or billions of light years simply to teach New Age philosophy, deny Christianity, and support the occult? Why would they consistently lie about things which we know are true? And why would they purposely deceive their contacts?
Well, they nailed it.
I cried, "Help me. Jesus, please help me."
I said, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus," or "Jesus, help me."
I just rebuked them in the name of Jesus as it was happening.
But at that instant, my experience stopped.
And then he was gone. He was gone.
There is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved.